It's the early 2000s. Real Madrid are the club. They've got Zidane pulling off those magical volleys, Ronaldo scoring goals for fun, Beckham bending it like, well, Beckham, and Figo breaking ankles on the wings. It's the Galácticos era, baby. Anyone wants to be there. It's like being invited to join the Avengers, only way cooler because, well, it's football. At that time, Real Madrid didn't just sign anyone. Oh no, they had the pick of the best, and trust me, they got them. They had so much star power that it felt like they were playing FIFA career mode with unlimited money. So when they came knocking on your door, you didn't just answer, you ran to open it. That was the dream, right? Well, not for Francesco Totti. This guy didn't just refuse the most glamorous club in the world, he did it with the kind of swag that makes you sit back and think, wait, did he just say no? And honestly, the more you hear the story, the more you realize it wasn't just a no, it was a full-blown mic drop. Totti wasn't just any player. He was a player for AS Roma, the heart and soul of his hometown club. While most players were out there chasing trophies and fat paychecks, Totti was different. He had this old-school loyalty, this deep, unshakable love for Roma that felt like something out of a movie. So when Real Madrid, the kings of football, came calling with the glittering crown, Totti looked them straight in the eye and said, thanks, but no thanks. Turning down Real Madrid, the place where legends were made. It's like someone handing you the winning lottery ticket and you're like, nah, I'm good, I'll stick with my day job. Who even does that? But that's the thing about Totti. He wasn't just playing football, he was living a love story. A love story with Roma, the city, the fans, and everything it stands for. And that's what makes this tale so epic, because in a world where loyalty is rare, Totti showed us all what it really meant. I mean, this wasn't just any club. This was Real Madrid in their prime, the Galácticos. Think about it. They weren't just building a football team, they were assembling a football dynasty. Imagine this, the Bernabeu packed to the rafters, cameras flashing, the world watching. You're walking out in that pristine white jersey alongside Zidane, Beckham, Ronaldo and Roberto Carlos. It's like stepping onto a stage where you're guaranteed an Oscar, except the Oscars are gold trophies with little handles and you win them by humiliating defenders every weekend. Now, Madrid didn't just stop at the pitch. They had the glam, the glitz, the power. You weren't just a footballer there, you were a global superstar. Ads, magazine covers, private jets, and your name chanted by millions. For most players, this was the dream. Heck, this was just the dream. And let's not forget, this wasn't just about fame. Real Madrid won a lot. They had this almost unfair ability to stack their trophy cabinet year after year. So when they knocked on Totti's door, they didn't just come with promises, they came with a guarantee. Join us, and you'll win it all. For most players, it would have been a no-brainer. You'd pack your bags faster than you could say, Hala Madrid. But here's where it gets interesting. Totti wasn't like most players. Sure, he must have thought about it. Who wouldn't? Picture him sitting at home in Rome, maybe staring at the Colosseum in the distance, with this golden ticket to the Footballing Hall of Fame in his hands. It's Real Madrid calling, the Galácticos, the team every kid dreams about. And yet, even with the sparkle, Totti saw something most players didn't. He saw the price of walking away from Roma. For him, it wasn't just about joining the best team in the world. It was about leaving the only team that mattered to him. That's what makes this story so incredible. Real Madrid offered Totti everything: money, fame, trophies, legacy, and he still said no. Because for Totti, loyalty wasn't just a word, it was who he was. But before we talk about why he turned away Real Madrid, who is Francesco Totti? Some players are born with football in their DNA. Those whose love for the game isn't tied to glory, fame, or fans. They play for themselves, for the pure joy of the sport. But then, there are players who transcend this simplicity. These are the leaders, the heroes, the ones who carry the weight of their people on their shoulders. They don't just play, they inspire. One such player was born in the eternal city of Rome, a boy destined to be more than a footballer. His name was Francesco Totti, and his story is legendary. A 4-year-old boy, too small for his age, watches a group of older kids playing football on the beach. He asks to join but is dismissed. You're too little, they say. Undeterred, he insists until they let him play. What happens next was nothing short of magical. His touch, his vision, his pure understanding of the game. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen in a boy so young. That day, his parents knew they had to nurture this gift. Francesco's journey began in local youth teams and his talent was undeniable. But his love for the game wasn't just about playing. It was deeply tied to his identity as a Roman. His family supported AS Roma, and his childhood idol was Giuseppe Giannini, Roma's iconic captain. Francesco recalled his first time in the Stadio Olimpico. "My father got us tickets. I can still close my eyes and feel it all. The colors, the chants, the smoke bombs. I was just a kid, but something ignited that day. As Francesco's talent blossomed, scouts came calling. AC Milan knocked, but his mother famously turned them away, saying, 'If you're born in Rome, there are only two choices, red or blue, Roma or Lazio. In this family, there's only Roma.' Despite his loyalty, offers were slow to come, and there was a brief moment where Lazio nearly snatched him away. But fate intervened. Gino Giannini, yes, the father of Francesco's idol, stepped in and ensured the boy would wear the Roma red and gold. At just 16 years old, Francesco made his Serie A debut, playing 2 minutes that signaled the beginning of a legendary career. The following seasons saw him develop into a versatile and creative force. Whether as a left-wing playmaker under Zidane Zidane, or as a striker in Luciano Spalletti's famous false nine system, Totti evolved, adapted, and thrived. His performances earned him the captain's armband at just 22 years old, cementing his status as the heart and soul of AS Roma. Totti's career was a rollercoaster of triumphs and heartbreaks. He won the Scudetto in 2001, lifting Roma to the pinnacle of Italian football and claimed 5 Serie A Player of the Year awards. Yet, there were painful moments too. Missed titles by the slimmest margins, injuries that tested his spirit, and rivalries that burned fiercely. Through it all, Totti remained a symbol of loyalty, passion, and resilience. I mean, he was the undisputed Prince of Rome. But before we continue this video, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. You've got the adoration of your city and the loyalty of your fans, and your name is sung in the streets like a hymn. Life is good. But then Real Madrid come knocking. Not just knocking, they're practically banging the door down with a golden sledgehammer. This wasn't your average transfer offer. Real Madrid rolled out the royal treatment. They offered Totti everything. A record-breaking transfer fee that would make headlines worldwide, promises of a starring role among the Galácticos, and a chance to achieve global stardom. I mean, Zidane, Figo, Ronaldo, Beckham, and Totti? It wasn't just a team, it was football's version of the Avengers. And you know what? Totti almost went for it. He later admitted he was 80% sure of joining them. 80%! That's not just a foot out the door, that's practically booking the flight to Madrid. At that time, things at Roma weren't exactly smooth sailing, and the idea of leaving for a football utopia was tempting to say the least. But here's where it gets interesting. Amid all the negotiations and dazzling offers, there was one sticking point: Raul. Raul wasn't just any player at Real Madrid, he was their captain, their symbol, their soul. Totti, despite the tempting riches, had one condition: Raul should earn more than him. Think about that for a second. Totti had enough respect for Raul's status at Madrid that he was willing to take a back seat in terms of wages, even if it meant compromising his value. Raul was their captain, their symbol, Totti would later say. He should have earned more than me. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? Totti wasn't just chasing money or fame, he cared about respect, hierarchy, and what it meant to be a symbol of loyalty. It's like he could see his reflection in Raul's role at Madrid. But even with all the respect, the astronomical offers and the allure of the Galactico glory, Totti stayed. Why? Because no matter how bright the lights in Madrid shone, they couldn't outshine the fire of his loyalty to Roma. It wasn't just a decision about football, it was about identity, about staying true to where he came from. Totti turned down Madrid, not because he didn't want the trophies or the fame, but because leaving Rome meant leaving a part of himself behind. And for Totti, that was a price even Real Madrid couldn't pay. So Totti made his decision, but let's not downplay the weight of it. Real Madrid wasn't just any club, they were the club. At the time, they were like a gravitational force, pulling in the biggest names in football. It wasn't just about trophies, it was about being immortalized in the pantheon of football gods. And Totti, he was at a crossroads. On one hand, there was the promise of global stardom, a salary that could make even the wealthiest blush, and a place on football's most glamorous stage. On the other, there was Rome, a city that had raised him, adored him, and treated him as their very own Caesar. Real Madrid's persistence was relentless. They threw everything at him. The phone calls, the meetings, the assurances, it was like a whirlwind romance. But in the quiet moments, Totti had to ask himself a hard question. Was he ready to betray the city that had given him everything? And here's where the real drama unfolds. Totti didn't just turn down Real Madrid. He chose something bigger than money, fame, or silverware. He chose loyalty. He chose to stay with a Roma side that wasn't exactly stacking trophies in the cabinet. He chose to stick with his people, his fans, and his home. In interviews years later, Totti would reflect on that moment. He admitted it wasn't the best time for him at Roma, but he couldn't bring himself to leave. It wasn't just about football, it was about identity, belonging, and a bond so deep that even the glittering crown of Madrid couldn't sever it. The boy from Rome became the man of Rome, and then the king of Rome. But not the kind of king you see in fairy tales sitting on a throne, basking in riches. No, Totti's reign was different. He didn't hoard Champions League titles or Ballon d'Ors. Instead, he collected moments that mattered. The Scudetto in 2001, when Roma erupted into a frenzy of red and yellow. The clutch goals, the jaw-dropping assists, and the sheer magic he brought to the pitch every time he wore the Roma jersey. And here's the thing, Totti didn't need Real Madrid. Sure, he could have added a few more trophies to his cabinet, maybe even a Ballon d'Or, but would that have made him happier? More fulfilled? Probably not. Because Totti wasn't chasing accolades, he was chasing meaning. For him, it wasn't about being remembered as one of the greatest footballers in the world. It was about being remembered as Rome's greatest. And the people, they loved him for it. Every touch, every pass, every goal. It wasn't just football, it was art, it was loyalty, it was Totti. In the end, Totti didn't need a crown to be a king. He didn't need Madrid to be immortalized. He stayed true to himself, to his city, and to his people. And for that, he became something more than a Galáctico. He became eternal. It was the ultimate loyalty test, and Totti passed with flying colors. He is the one who rejected Real Madrid to become a king.